All right, you filthy animals, buckle up, because today we're diving headfirst into a shitstorm of epic proportions, the world of Donald Trump's bullshit.
Oh, yeah.
This dude's been spewing outrageous claims since before Twitter was even a twinkle in Jack Dorsey's eye.
Right from the get-go.
It's truly a phenomenon.
Yep.
I mean, the sheer volume of his misleading statements is astounding.
I mean, it really is something.
And we're not talking about your run-of-the-mill political spin here.
Oh, God, no.
This is a pattern of deception that stretches back decades.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
We're talking about a mountain of crap so high, it makes Mount Everest look like a goddamn anthill.
That's one way to put it.
We've got articles, research papers, even a whole damn book dedicated to this guy's assault on truth.
That's right, Donald Trump and his assault on truth.
Just during his presidency, the Washington Post documented over 13,000 false or misleading claims.
You can't even make this shit up.
It's mind-boggling. And what's perhaps even more fascinating is how this pattern of behavior has permeated his entire life, from his early business dealings to his time in the White House and beyond.
Absolutely. I mean, we see it all throughout his career.
So let's cut the crap and jump right into this cesspool.
Let's do it.
We're going to start with Trump's early business career, because even back then, this dude was a master of illusion,
Oh, yeah?
weaving a tapestry of bullshit so thick you could practically choke on it.
He was a pro.
That's a great place to start. We see the roots of his deceptive tendencies in his early real estate ventures. Take, for instance, the infamous John Barron persona.
Oh, yeah.
He fabricated.
The man had so many aliases.
Oh, yeah, good old John Barron. Trump's alter ego. His imaginary PR guy calling up reporters and magazines,
Right.
bragging about how rich and successful Donald was.
It's pathetic, really.
Exactly. He literally invented this character to inflate his wealth and status, going so far as to use this fake persona to manipulate the Forbes 400 list.
Can you believe that?
The dude was obsessed with appearing richer than he actually was. He even exaggerated the size of his buildings,
Oh, no.
tacking on extra floors that didn't even exist,
All to boost his ego.
all to boost his perceived value.
It's all about appearances with him.
It's a classic case of smoke and mirrors. He understood the power of perception, even if it meant distorting reality to achieve his desired image.
Exactly.
And let's not forget, his little game of ancestral switcheroo dude claimed Swedish heritage to hide his German roots. Talk about being ashamed of your family tree.
Right. Like, who cares where your family came from?
It speaks to a desire to control the narrative, to present a carefully curated version of himself to the world. He wasn't just building skyscrapers, he was building a persona brick by fabricated brick.
Absolutely.
And as his career progressed, this tendency to embellish and distort only intensified when 9/11 happened. Trump, never one to miss an opportunity for self-promotion, claimed his building was now the tallest in Lower Manhattan,
Oh, God, that's just awful.
which of course was patently false. 70 Pine Street was still significantly taller.
I mean, come on. It was so obvious.
The guy couldn't even let a national tragedy unfold without trying to spin it to his advantage.
It's unbelievable.
And his claim of seeing people jumping from the World Trade Center from his apartment miles away.
Oh, yeah, that one.
Physically impossible.
I mean, how could anyone believe that?
Right. Talk about capitalizing on a tragedy. And don't forget the thousands of Arabs celebrating in New Jersey. Bullshit, pure fabrication.
It's disgusting.
Designed to stoke fear and division.
Exactly.
These 9/11 claims are particularly revealing because they demonstrate his willingness to exploit sensitive events for personal gain, even if it means peddling outright lies.
He has no shame.
The dude's a walking, talking PR machine, churning out bullshit faster than a cow can shit.
I think that's it, right?
And as we move into his 2016 presidential campaign, get ready to hold on to your hats, folks, because the ride only gets wilder from here.
Oh, yeah. Strap in.
Indeed, the campaign trail became a breeding ground for some of Trump's most outlandish and inflammatory statements. His birtherism conspiracy theories, for example, were a blatant appeal to racist sentiments and a deliberate attempt to undermine the legitimacy of the first black president.
It's just so messed up.
Yeah, birtherism. The man spent years peddling the racist lie that Obama wasn't born in the U.S., questioning his citizenship and legitimacy as president,
And he knew it wasn't true.
all while conveniently downplaying his own silver spoon upbringing. A small loan of $1 million, he called it, "What a joke."
Oh, my God. The hypocrisy is just mind-blowing.
Right. The New York Times later revealed that he'd actually received hundreds of millions of dollars from his father, effectively debunking his self-made man myth.
He was born with a silver spoon in his mouth, and he still tries to act like he pulled himself up by his bootstraps.
And who could forget the infamous "Mexico will pay for it" wall promise? What a fucking joke he played. his supporters like fiddles riling them up with this ridiculous claim.
Oh, that makes you so angry.
It was a masterclass in populist rhetoric. He identified a potent issue, immigration, and exploited it for political gain, making promises he had no intention of keeping. And of course, Mexico never paid a dime for the wall.
Not a single peso.
So here we have a pattern emerging. Trump the showman, the master manipulator, using deception and distortion to build his brand, boost his image, and ultimately grab power.
It's a classic playbook.
And once he landed in the Oval Office, well, let's just say things got even more fucked up.
Oh, yeah, this shit really hit the fan then. Oh, yeah, this shit really hit the fan. And his presidency was like a nonstop reality show. But instead of petty drama, we got a full-blown assault on truth and democracy.
Yeah, it was like watching a slow-motion train wreck, except the train was loaded with nuclear warheads and driven by a guy who thought he was invincible.
It was a wild time.
His inauguration was our first taste of the Trumpian alternate reality. Remember the infamous crowd-sized lies? Photos and videos clearly showed a smaller crowd than Obama's. But Trump and his team insisted it was the biggest crowd ever.
Oh, yeah, that was a classic.
Alternative facts, they call it. His press secretary, Sean Spicer, looked like he wanted to crawl under a rock and die while trying to defend that bullshit.
I bet.
It was a clear signal that facts were no longer sacred in the Trump administration. Truth became malleable, subject to his whims and the needs of his ego.
It's like he thought he could just make up his own reality.
And then there was the whole Russia thing. Mountains of evidence pointed to Russian interference in the 2016 election, but Trump kept screaming witch hunt and fake news, denying any wrongdoing.
Yeah, the Mueller investigation really got under his skin.
His constant denial of Russian interference, despite intelligence reports and the Mueller investigation, further eroded public trust in government institutions.
It's no wonder people don't trust the government anymore.
He even fired FBI Director James Comey to try to shut down the investigation, talk about obstruction of justice.
That was a bold move.
It was a blatant attempt to impede the investigation and protect himself from scrutiny. And when asked about his reasons for firing Comey, his explanations shifted constantly further, highlighting his disregard for truth and transparency.
He couldn't keep his story straight.
Speaking of shifting explanations, remember Sharpiegate, when Hurricane Dorian was threatening the U.S. edge? Trump incorrectly claimed it would hit Alabama. Then instead of admitting he was wrong, he whipped out a goddamn Sharpie and altered the official hurricane map to make it look like he was right.
Oh, God, that was so embarrassing.
It was a bizarre and disturbing episode that encapsulated his need to be right at all costs, even when it meant manipulating reality itself.
A man couldn't stand to be wrong.
The dude was living in a fantasy world of his own making, and then there's Obamagate, his baseless conspiracy theory that Obama had spied on his campaign.
That one was just ridiculous.
Obamagate was a prime example of his tactic of deflecting blame and creating distractions. It was a way to attack his predecessor, undermine the legitimacy of the previous administration, and fuel partisan division.
He was a master of deflection.
It's like he was projecting his own shady behavior onto his opponents. The irony is just too thick to slice.
It's almost comical.
And let's not forget his handling of the COVID-19 pandemic. It was a masterclass in misinformation and denial.
Oh, God. Don't even get me started on that.
Yeah, the pandemic really exposed Trump for the dangerous con man. He truly is. He downplayed the severity of the virus, spread conspiracy theories about its origins, and promoted unproven and potentially harmful treatments.
Like injecting bleach? Remember that?
Oh, yeah, that was a classic.
I mean, what the hell was he thinking?
His actions were reckless and irresponsible, and they cost lives. He put his own political interests above the health and safety of the American people.
It's unforgivable.
His constant undermining of public health experts and his promotion of quack cures had a devastating impact, contributing to the spread of the virus and hindering efforts to contain it.
He made a bad situation so much worse.
And then, of course, there's the granddaddy of all Trumpian bullshit, his claims about the 2020 election being stolen.
Oh, yeah, the big lie.
The big lie, as it's come to be known, is perhaps the most dangerous and damaging legacy of his presidency. His refusal to accept the legitimate results of the election, his relentless attacks on the electoral process, and his incitement of the January 6th Capitol insurrection represent a grave threat to American democracy.
It's a real turning point.
It's like he was trying to burn the whole goddamn system down because he couldn't handle losing, and even after leaving office, the lies kept flowing like sewage from a broken pipe.
He just couldn't let it go.
He's like a broken record stuck on repeat, spewing the same tired lies about a stolen election, claiming credit for things he had nothing to do with, and spreading conspiracy theories like they're going out of style.
It's exhausting.
And his embrace of deep fakes and other forms of disinformation is a worrying trend that reflects a growing distrust in reality itself.
It's scary stuff.
It's like he's trying to create a world where nothing is true and everything is up for grabs. And the scary part is he's got millions of followers who are eating this shit up.
It's like a cult.
His ability to convince a large segment of the population to believe his lies despite overwhelming evidence to the contrary is a testament to the power of propaganda and the erosion of critical thinking in the digital age.
It's a wake-up call for sure.
It's like we're living in a post-truth society where facts are irrelevant and feelings trump everything, and Trump is the king of this fucked up kingdom.
It's a depressing thought.
But let's not get too bogged down in the darkness despite the damage he's done. There's also been a pushback against this tide of misinformation. People are becoming more aware of the dangers of propaganda, and they're demanding accountability from their leaders.
That's encouraging.
I hope you're right. We need a collective wake-up call. A realization that truth matters, that facts matter, that reality matters. We can't let this bullshit define us.
I agree.
Absolutely. We need to invest in education, strengthen our democratic institutions, and hold those who spread lies accountable for their actions.
That's the only way forward.
We've covered a lot of ground here, from Trump's petty lies about his wealth to his more dangerous attacks on democracy itself, but we're not done yet. There's one more layer to this onion of bullshit that we need to peel back.
Let's do it. I'm ready to dive into the abyss and see what other horrors we can uncover.
Okay, so let's wrap up this deep dive into the fetid swamp of Trump's bullshit we've waded through, his shady business dealings, his assault on the presidency, his post-presidency diarrhea of the mouth. It's enough to make you lose faith in humanity.
Yeah, it really makes you wonder about the state of the world.
It's been a wild ride, that's for sure.
Boy.
But I think it's important to step back and consider the broader implications of his behavior. We're not just talking about a guy who can't tell the truth. We're talking about someone who has fundamentally altered the way we perceive reality.
Absolutely. I mean, he's really changed the game when it comes to politics and the media.
Yeah, it's like he's cracked open a Pandora's box of bullshit, and now it's spilling out everywhere. We're living in a world where facts are optional and truth is whatever the loudest voice in the room decides it is.
It's a scary thought. And it's not just limited to politics, it's affecting everything.
And that's the truly dangerous part of his legacy. He's normalized, lying on a scale we've never seen before. Politicians have always stretched the truth, but Trump took it to a whole new level. He made it okay to just blatantly lie, to deny reality, to attack anyone who dared to question him.
It's like he created a whole new standard for what's acceptable.
It's like he created a cult of personality where his followers blindly accept whatever he says, no matter how ridiculous or demonstrably false it is. They've built their entire worldview around his lies, and they're willing to defend him to the death, even if it means attacking their own friends and family.
It's a classic case of tribalism, where people are so entrenched in their beliefs that they're willing to ignore any evidence to the contrary.
It's like they've been brainwashed, programmed to reject any information that doesn't come from their dear leader. And it's not just about politics anymore. It's affecting everything from science to healthcare to basic human decency.
Yeah, it's really scary to see how this kind of thinking is spreading.
It's like we're hurtling towards a dystopian future, where everyone's living in their own little echo chambers, shouting their own versions of reality at each other. And the worst part is, I'm not sure how we stop it.
It's definitely a challenge, but I think the key is education and critical thinking. We need to teach people how to evaluate information and not just blindly believe everything they see and hear.
It's a tall order, especially in this age of social media where lies can spread like wildfire and algorithms are designed to feed us exactly what we want to hear, whether it's true or not.
It's a constant battle, but we can't give up. We have to keep fighting for the truth.
It's a battle for the very soul of our democracy, and we can't afford to lose. We need to reclaim the truth, to value facts and evidence, to have reasoned debates based on shared reality.
Absolutely. We can't let lies and misinformation win.
I hope we're not too late. I hope we can pull ourselves back from the brink of this abyss of bullshit. Because if we don't, I fear the consequences will be catastrophic.
We have to stay optimistic and keep pushing for a better future.
Well, I think we've all had enough of Trump's bullshit for one day. It's exhausting, it's demoralizing, and frankly, it's just plain depressing. But sometimes you gotta wade through the shit to find the nuggets of truth.
That's a good way to put it. It's been a tough journey, but it's important to have these conversations.
Yeah, it's like panning for gold in a river of sewage. You might find a few shiny flecks, but you're gonna come out smelling like shit no matter what. But hey, at least we tried to make sense of this madness.
And hopefully our listeners got something out of it, maybe a little bit of knowledge, a little bit of hope.
Exactly. And hopefully our listeners have learned a thing or two about the dangers of unchecked power, the importance of critical thinking, and the fragility of truth in the age of disinformation.
Those are definitely some important takeaways.
So there you have it, folks. The deep dive into the mountain of Trump claims. It's a landscape littered with lies, distortions, and a whole lot of bullshit. And it's a reminder that we all need to be vigilant to question everything and to never take anything at face value, especially if it comes from the mouth of a politician.
Words to live by.
That's it for this deep dive. Thanks for listening, you beautiful bastards. And remember, don't drink the Kool-Aid.
Stay safe out there and keep your bullshit detectors on high alert.